Well, hey everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 15th day of March 2020. I don't know what happened to my hair there. Not 2020, 2021. You know, when I don't think about it, I still have to think about it, and we're in the middle of March. Well, it's a Monday. What are you going to do? We're doing this a little bit early because I've got an appointment today at 11. So I'm going to get this done and hopefully get it posted. And, hopefully I only have to do it once. So fingers crossed. Oops. I hope everybody had a good weekend. It snowed last night, so we have a little bit of snow on the ground. A little more than I thought we would have, but I don't think we have an inch or anything, but hopefully that goes away here before long. I'm not eager to, be out on the road when there's snow on it. Although, I did spend part of my childhood in Alaska, just not part of my childhood where I drove. I was younger than that, so. But I paid attention to a lot of stuff when I was little, so it's like I was ultra prepared for things when they started, So when I learned to drive, I had already been paying very close attention to how my parents drove. But that took place in Oregon, so not here, not in Alaska, so. But at least we don't have the snow level that Alaska has. Although I have to say the last time I was up there, well, I guess in fairness, it started snowing as we were flying out, so I don't know. We didn't get to, but there was like maybe 4 or 5 inches on the ground, so it like snowed quite a bit for the first real snow of the year, so that was kind of fun. Alaska's a really cool place. It's a really cool place to grow up. But that was a long time ago, and I've been in Oregon ever since. So we moved here when I was still 10. I wasn't quite 11 yet. So I've been here ever since. So, gosh, over 50 years. I think, yeah. Oregon's a great place too. We really like it over here in Central Oregon. I love the valley though too, but Central Oregon's kind of cool. It's a lot of people from Alaska, believe it or not, moved to Central Oregon. That and Hawaii. I don't know what that's about, but I can't even tell you the number of people I've met from both places, Alaska and Hawaii, that have moved specifically to live here. I don't know why you would leave, heaven on earth in either place to come here, but I don't know. I guess it's what you do. We have Sawillo for the rune today. So that's really the light of spirit. It's the will invoking, it's healing and clarity, but mostly it's higher self. It's an as above so below rune, kind of made up of Kenaz twice, really kind of a skewed version of it, but still in all. So you've got the light of spirit both inward and outward, and you have the as above so below nature of this particular rune, which is cool. So let's see. Oh, haven't had Vaya in a while. We have Vaya for the, let me get it out for you here. Oh, there it is. Vaya, which is blazing a new path or a new trail or a new journey. Alignment. Its complement is populous, so it would be 2 dots all the way down. And there you're following the crowd. So here you're making your own way and basically invoking will to do it. So it aligns well with Sawillo. But let's go ahead and take a look at the cards. Now, the last couple of weeks, week before last, it was sort of a different type of focus. It was about how we manifest authority outwardly, and then last week, believe it or not, was more about inward authority. And let's see, where is my book here? Let me get my book and see what I had written down. Yeah, the loosening of fixed perceptions that then, govern how we manifest authority in our lives. So we'll see. I doubt we'll continue with that. I think we covered it, but you never know. Authority issues are a big deal. How I think it comes down to integrity. I think it comes down to, again, manifesting, how you manifest the will. But are you doing it in a way that you can be trusted? Are you doing it in a way that bowls over people, and demeans them into doing what you want them to do? So again, how that manifests is important, and but hopefully we've turned a corner. Maybe we'll do something with respect to healing today. Let's see. Let's take our cards and see. Well, we have, I might end up I'm just going to set those over there though. I might take another card here, but we've got 2 majors and one minor arcana card. We'll start with the 2 of Pentacles. So here we're kind of making a decision over material issues or physical issues. So life and form. Pentacles is the earth element, and so it's really about who we are in form and how we manifest what we do. The theme in life, that we come into this life with. How does that work out? Is it service to self-oriented? Is it service to others-oriented? What does that look like? Well, here we're basically juggling. We have a line of demarcation right here between the waves and the sand, and basically you see emotions you see the ships on the waves, but they're pretty big, aren't they? So emotions are present in this card. We're balancing decisions that are actually quite emotional based. We've been up and down. Our emotions have been up and down about it. But here, we've got the receptive end on his end, his left hand, our right. So it just depends on how you want to look at this, whether or not, the masculine or projective presence is stronger or not. If you look at it just from the forward view of looking at it as this being the right and this being the left, then the receptive side is weighing a little, the heavier weight actually is down here, in a sense, if you want to think of it that way. You could think of this as being the more important one, but if you look at this from the masculine side, if you're looking at it and considering this is the right, then you could say that projective influences, or again, how we manifest authority or how we assert ourselves, at least, is maybe some of the issue that we're being weighed down by. If you look at it in terms of his left, though, then the decision needs to be more heavily weighted on the receptive side. So it just depends on how this strikes you. But he's standing on one foot. Nothing is certain, basically nothing is certain, and the emotions are still in flux. Next we have the Devil. The 15th card of the major arcana aligns with today's date. Here we have a 6th energy, though. We're looking at a very spiritual card. It's an as above, so below card. You see his hands, the Devil's card, our little goat-headed figure there with wings, who's perching. He's got his hands in the as above, so below position that you'll find with a magician. Only with a magician, his right hand points up to spirit with a scroll in it. Here he doesn't have anything in that hand, and his left hand is now toward the receptive presence is toward form, and you see his torch is lighting, essentially the ego. This is a slave to desire, is what the Devil represents, a slave to ego. Not really, your focus is not on spirit, it's on ego and on form. But it's the choice that you're making, basically. We're not infusing spirit into form. We're just sort of ignoring it. We see the man and the woman. She's got a pomegranate for a tail. He's got an oak leaf for a tail. And they're chained to the post that the Devil is perching on. You see the inverted pentagram up above, which does not mean Satanism. What all it means is that if you were turned this way, see, it would be the top point would be pointed towards spirit. Here it's just pointed toward form. It's just where the focus is all. It's not a bad card. It's just alerting you to stay away from ego. Here, you have the 12th card of the major arcana, the Hanged Man. And here, the man is hanging on the tree there on the gallows pole. If this were the world tree and that were Odin, then he would be hanging upside down for enlightenment. While the Norns are gathering together the runes to give him. Just like, hey, wake up. You know, did you forget who you are? But with this a 3 energy, we've got triplicities. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. And here you see around his head is the light of spirit. So the Hanged Man is about surrender, basically surrendering to spirit. So the decision that we have to make, I mean, this is really an easy one. I don't think we probably need a 4th card. But the decision is an easy one, really, to see what it is. It's choosing to let spirit inform. Maybe we will take one more card. But you got Sewillow, you got the light of spirit, and we're choosing a different path here with Vaya. And so is it going to be one that's filled with ego, or is it going to be one that's filled with spirit in terms of the choices that we're making? And that's basically what this has to deal with, is the choice, all right? Balance. Now, is it going to be heavily or more heavily weighted on the receptive side of self? If you're thinking this is his, if you're looking at this as the left hand, his left, the choice that he's making. And if so, then there's your receptive presence. It's the quiet voice within that tells you, no, don't do that. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, well, that's a selfish thing to do, you know. Could you maybe think about others in the process? Yeah, that's kind of what that's about. So, you know, do you hear the voice of spirit, or do you hear the voice of ego? And what counsel will you listen to when you make your decisions? Let's see what the decisions has to, at least overall, what it has to do with. I'm going to take the 13th one. So my shuffling doesn't interfere here. Well, we have the 8 of Wands here. Now, Wands is the fire element. And basically what you're talking about there is swift directional movement. You're defending, you're standing your ground. You're protecting something. So we still don't really know what that's about. Let's do one more card. Lots of things coming in on you that you have to make a decision about. I mean, you could think of it that way. It's a 7 energy, so we're looking at the 7 of Wands here. Is it the 7 of Wands, or is it the 8? Oh no, it's the 7 of Wands, not the 8 of Wands. So the 8 of Wands is swift directional movement. Be nice if I could see. That looked like an 8. But no, this is the 7, so this is the magic number. So this is courage, standing your ground, confrontation. It's like, wake up. I'm doing this super early because of my appointment at 11, so I was like, It's like, wake up. But basically, it's having courage to stand your ground and to stand your convictions, stand with your own convictions. You know, but again, are they? Let's do one more card to see if we can get any more details. I don't know what it's about. If we can get any kind of. But again, you know, if you're standing your ground, you're having to make a decision about something. And so is spirit going to inform the process, or is it going to be the devil card and ego? Being a slave only to desire. It's very difficult. Is this about continuing to wear a mask even if you've had the vaccine? Is it because when you're out and about, you can still get the virus? See, that's the problem with the vaccines. You're being vaccinated against having it hit you really hard, but it doesn't mean you can't get it. It's just going to be easier on you, theoretically anyway, to have the vaccine, and so the impact isn't as great. Problem, though, is you can still give this to people, even if you have a vaccine, and so you have to still wear a mask until the CDC and Dr. Fauci says we don't have to. So is that what we're standing our ground about? We have the High Priestess card. Again, a 2, so more balance. Maybe just keeping will with spirit, ego with spirit in balance here. Because that's what you have here. You have the High Priestess. What you have is you have the Fool first that takes that leap into form, and how that process works is defined by the Magician and the High Priestess. Once they do their stuff, the High Priestess with the subconscious aspect of self, and the Magician with the physical form and all of that, blending the two together, the soul infusing into the body, then you have the Empress who gives birth to the world. You'll note that the emperor doesn't come first. It's irrespective of the emperor's effect. She gives birth to the world. So here, we're dealing with subconscious issues. What about the subconscious is keeping us from making the decision that we need to make to stand our ground about something? Clearly we're having to deal with the combination of both ego and spirit. But let me just look here. But you see the 7 of Wands, though, now this is about honor and valor as well. Because it takes courage to stand your ground. Courage found with Sewillow. Courage to blaze your own trail. And because this is standing alone, all right? So today, you may experience something where you're going to have to make a decision. And is my reaction, are my choices going to reflect spirit? Are they going to reflect ego? Am I able to stand my ground and say, no, this is the path I'm going to take? Generally speaking, with Sewillow, healing comes into play. Is also with the Hanged Man. There's a certain element of healing there found in spirit that you don't find in ego. Here, you're just simply a slave to desire. But is the ego going to serve you well? Or do you need to move back into spirit and find that balance there? You see what I'm saying? I mean, we're really talking about, we've got 2 2s now, the 2 of Pentacles and also the card 2 of the Major Arcana. So I think this may be another soul-searching moment that we have today where we have to decide, who are we going to be in this? Are we going to respect the collective consciousness aspect of what's going on? In other words, do other people's needs matter too? Or is this something where we have to put our foot down and say no? It may be that you go to a grocery store and you're all masked up, but the people inside are not. They're starting to say, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore, right? If they ever did, right? If they ever did, because around here you never know. Although I think it's getting better, but we're literally down to one store where staff is in a mask and people are, and they do over the loudspeaker. You got to be in a mask to be in here, folks, that kind of stuff. And for the most part, we rarely ever see anybody there. It's our local Walmart, actually. We never see anybody it's rare that someone isn't in a mask. If they catch them when they're coming in, they don't let them in. So it's just, I would have never thought that, but the other stores in town have real issues with this, and you go in there and maybe you decide, if that's the case, you go into there, or a business or whatever, and if it's not to your liking, if you don't feel safe, then you have to leave. That's the decision you have to make, right? Do I stay? Do I go? And maybe you stand your ground and you say, no, I've come this far and I'm not going to jeopardize my health because you people are not in masks. And so maybe I'll take my business elsewhere, See, and for me, I won't say it's a forever decision I've made, but to go into these places and have to contend with that, it tells me that they don't care if I live or die, frankly. So I'm going to have a hard time going back to any of them when all this is said and done, right? You're going to have to maybe think about it. My husband and I, we've talked about that. It's like, how are we going to function out there in some of these places that could not be bothered to wear a mask when they need, when the state required it, or when common sense required it? I mean, how do you want to, do you want to be around people like that? See, it's like, these are the kinds of issues that people are going to be thinking about. I know they are. I see it online. They're talking about it. It's like, what? Because now suddenly the light's at the end of the tunnel, right? And the vaccines are here, and we're going to get them, and we're going to be able to see our grandchildren this summer, and all of that, right? And our kids this summer, which we haven't in a long time. We've been locked down for over a year. I looked in my day timer, and I think I've said this before, that we started this on February 2nd of last year. We saw what was coming. We were watching the news. We knew it would hit here, and we knew that it was not going to be nothing. We knew. And so we started, following our own safety protocols that we knew were going to be put in place. We started going out every 2 weeks to the store, ordering in what we could, and we've been doing that for over a year now. So, we get a little irritated when we see people that aren't on the same page here. If we had all stayed on it, we might be a whole lot better off than we are right now. We might be able to come together right now in ways that we can't, And so I find the whole thing amazing. And so I don't know what you do. There's going to have to be this cooling off period or something when all is said and done. Because people that refuse to wear masks, it's almost to the point where I don't want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be around you. It's like, just go, live your life. I can live mine. It's fine. But at the same time, that's no fun. So it's like, I suspect there'll have to be this cooling off period for most of us who, followed the guidelines and felt it important to not only keep ourselves safe from this, but everyone else as well. It's that reciprocity that you find with the two energy. This is also not just about decisions, it's about reciprocity. And are you going to be able to do that for somebody? Or are you just going to be all, focused on the self, and I'm not going to do any of those things. I don't need to do that. This is not, I don't even, whatever the inner dialogue you have, what voice is giving that to you? Is it the ego that doesn't care about other people, or is it spirit that clearly does? So I don't know. I think that this is the biggest issue we have right now. In terms of our awakening and the ascension. Ascension is a lot of different things, but there's work to do for it now, and coming into the realization of who we really are, not just as spirit, but to one another. We're all collectively one. Isn't it time? Especially during a pandemic, don't you think that's the time we ought to understand that and know that and operate under that perception, so we can make our decisions together and get through something like this? Would have been good, but instead we saw something else happen, and we're continuing to see it happen. So it's made it all very, very challenging, hasn't it? So hopefully, though, in spite of all of that, we can heal and the people that are suffering with the long COVID, maybe they can also, we can find some solutions for them as well, because clearly that's going to be a thing going forward for a lot of people. How many, I don't know, but clearly that's something we have to be concerned about now, is what happens, 4 or 5 months after this, 3 months after this. Do you have, issues you have to deal with if you've had the disease. So if you've had the virus. So, lots of things to be, concerned about going forward, but, the decision ought to be easier than it is about how we, the path that we go down. Clearly, with Sawillo and Vaya, it's suggesting it's the path of spirit. So anyhow, that's it. I'm going to go. I'm going to look this over. And if I can have time, I think I have enough time to go ahead and post it. And then I can go to my appointment. So anyway, brave the snow, this much snow. Anyway, thanks a lot, you guys. And come back Thursday. We'll see if we build on this or if we turn a corner again into something else. But I'll write all this down so I don't forget, and we'll talk about it a little bit at the beginning of Wednesday's reading, or not Wednesday, Thursday's reading, and we'll see how it all meshes together or not. So anyway, have a good day. Have a good, the next few days, and I hope whatever decision that you make, I hope you stand your ground, and that you take that from the standpoint of spirit. So. Wear a mask if you go out around anyone at all. You thought I was going to forget, didn't you? I won't. Whether you're inside or out, have a mask on if you're around other people. Until Dr. Fauci says we don't have to. So anyway, be good to yourself, be good to one another, and blessed be.